So this video is about how do we take a common website with a Flask Python backend and a basic jQuery front end and move that to Google Cloud Platform. Well, I have just the example here. I've run this little site for years. This is called Fine Rising Stocks and it runs on a Raspberry Pi. So the first thing I want to do with this is get the data out of MySQL database. And so we have to log on to the Raspberry Pi and export the data into an SQL file. Let's take a look at how that might be done. Well, that's not the Raspberry Pi. This is the Raspberry Pi. So I've already done this for us, but I'll go through how it's done. So we want to run a command, first of all, with MySQL, a dump command, and we want to dump this stuff out. So that's not too hard. We're just going to run this exact command here, mysql dump, and we're going to dump this out to an SQL file. So this pretty much gives a way for MySQL to load the stuff and transport, well, first of all, transport it to a different DB and load it back in. So now we got a file called eoddata.sql on this Raspberry Pi. Let's take a look at how large that file is. So yeah, so it's over a million rows. I think I said it was 2.4 million rows, and it's about 186 megabytes. So I've then transported that over to Mac OS. So I'm running an iMac here. And on the iMac, I've run this file. I've transported it over here. And so now we have an SQL file on this iMac. And sure enough, there it is. So let's see if it looks about the same size. It should. 327. 327. So yeah, the sizes match up. Okay, so an SQL file still isn't going to get us much traction with BigQuery on Google Cloud. So a common data format to normalize it would be to bring the stuff into the CSV format, which is basically a comma delimited spreadsheet. So I wrote a small Python program to do that. And so with this Python program, we're going to basically open up this table in MySQL on macOS. We're going to basically run a query that looks like this because this is basically how a table looks. In fact, we can validate how it looks, but that's the basic schema of this thing. We're going to run that thing, and then we're going to simply write all those rows to this file right here. So that takes some time, and you can see that we've done that already. So I ran this program. It wrote all those rows to a CSV file. So now the fact is we have that CSV file in our downloads directory on macOS, ready for BigQuery on GCP. So sure enough, let's go to our macOS here if I can find it. Here's macOS. Let's look at what's here. Let's see what's in here. Blah blah blah. Looking for my file that I just wrote to here. I don't see it. Okay, so where's this file at here? Don't see it. Let's run the program again, create the file. I must have erased it. All right, so we're loading from the DB on macOS. This takes about a minute. It's loading all those rows, about 2.4 million rows. And then we're going to write to this file here. So we'll copy this path off. It takes about a minute to load into memory from the DB into Python 3.8 on this thing on Mac OS. This is like a 2015 iMac. Was it an i7 or is it an i5? I think we got an i5 in this thing. Anyway, once that happens, we're gonna hopefully upload this thing to BigQuery on. There it is. Okay, so it's done. Let's take a look at if it exists again. Close this window. Don't need it. Bring this one up, and there it is. And this should just be looking like our schema here, just comma separated stuff. All right, yep. So we're gonna upload all the stuff to GCP. So in GCP, let's jump on here. Now we're on GCP, and that's not gonna work for us. This is more like it. So I made a project on here called, I think, Find Rising Stocks. And so let's make a data set first of all. And that's fine the way it is. I'm not going to auto delete it. And I'm just going to call it, I've been calling this thing EOD data. So end of day data. That's what I call it traditionally. That'll create it. So then we could try and upload this thing directly, but I think I have too much data. So do an open on it. Try and upload here. Anyway, I'm doing this just to show you that it won't work because it won't. It's too big. So that's not going to go. So we'll have to use GCP Cloud Storage. So let's make a bucket. And we'll call it that. Create. And now we're going to upload some data. So with this, we can upload our data. There's our file. This will take some time. Might take a lot of time. So when that's done, we'll try and get the stuff into BigQuery from the bucket. And once that's done, we can try and get the Python code ported over. I would like to make it work a little better than using Flask, so I might want to refactor the code into something different, but for now, let's try and reproduce the site. Get it working, I guess, with Flask, which shouldn't be really hard. I'll just use the BigQuery backend. And what I want to do is get some real-time news feeds into it and see how that would affect stock pricing. So this is a raw data for historical pricing every day. Well, it's more than halfway uploaded. I don't have the fastest upload on this system, maybe 10 megabits per second or something. It's not horrendously fast on Comcast. They make you pay for decent uploads. All right, looks like we got it up there. Now I would like to go back to the project and get this thing into BigQuery. So there's our bucket. And we're on our project. So what I want to do now is get this thing in, and let's see if we can do that. Here's the bucket here. And deleted the bucket for a demo. What I really want to do is get back to my, want to get back to this selector here. Okay, there's my big table there. And all right, well, I'm going to muddle along here and try to get this stuff into BigQuery. And when that's figured out, you'll see another video. Thanks for watching and have a great day.